Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
It is another bright and beautiful morning, and this is your one-stop breakfast show, Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. My name is Elvis Oga. Many thanks for joining us.
My name is Messenger. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's a nice Friday morning, TGIF. And we have Elvis with us today.
I was actually
under the weather
yesterday. So I went missing in action, but thank God I'm back already.
Yes, my partner in progress is back.
Anytime, any day. You're actually looking so radiant this morning.
Really? Thank you very, very
TGIF.
much.
So you're actually invoking the spirit of Friday.
Yes,
it's all good.
In my house. So, Nigeria recorded 350 new cases yesterday
of coronavirus,
bringing to a total of 11,516 cases in Nigeria. However, we have 3,535 patients now discharged. And then, but sadly, we have 323 deaths now of coronavirus in Nigeria.
That's actually a sad one, and we keep talking about when we keep seeing the rise in the cases of infection.
Yes.
And one begin to wonder that this actually happened at a period when we're trying to see that we relax the lockdown a bit and see people or normalcy return to basic activities in the land.
Yeah.
And we keep talking about it. That means the responsibility has now been shifted to the citizens to see that they take adequate care of themselves and then adhere strictly to the guidelines. Else, like somebody from the presidential task force was saying the other day, we've not really gone to the peak of it, and we're already worried with the figures we got coming. Like states like Lagos are still topping with over 100, close to 200 a day.
Yes, a day.
And it's actually worrisome.
Very, very worrisome, because one begins to ask and being scared that the new measures that are coming in place, reopening of religious gatherings, it really cause for panic that there might be a spike in the cases, coronavirus cases. We do not know what is going to be the outcome of all of this relaxation so far. But we pray for the best.
We pray for the best.
We hope for the best.
And then, sadly, we're still having cases of rape being talked about across the country, and then it has taken a new dimension. Recall that the other day we were talking about the rape cases, and we saw the uprise in the cases, and we were trying to link it with the long stay together by the lockdown.
The lockdown, molestation happening inside the house. The fathers that could go out to probably carry out whatever it is that they were doing, now they have to be in their house, and then they're not turning to their daughters, their own children.
What actually makes it more concerning is the fact that when cases like this are being talked about, one might ordinarily want to see or might think that these cases that are being brought out now were cases that happened in the past, but as we speak, we still have new cases of rape allegations coming up from different quarters every day.
We're talking about Uwa, and then we now had another one of the Ibadan case of the 19-year-old girl who was raped and murdered at her backyard. Right? I think she was stabbed to death after being raped. So we don't understand what's
happening. You know, when one tends to trace criminal activities like this and it takes a particular pattern, the expert, when they launch into investigation, you see that maybe it can be traced or linked to a particular person that is undergoing this serious form of these criminal activities. But the new twist of the whole event, it's people wrongly accusing others of rape. And people have come out to condemn that just the way they condemned rape itself, and they were saying that is as worse as rape itself. So they were actually projecting the same kind of punishment for people who wrongly accused people of rape.
Because rape is a very serious allegation. So I see no reason why someone or people should try to accuse someone falsely of raping them. It's a very serious thing. Now we are seeing the law, you were talking about castration from the lawmakers, and they actually said no, there's not going to be castration. Rather, they are lobbying for just life imprisonment. So imagine accusing someone falsely and the person has to be imprisoned for life for doing nothing, getting a life sentence. That's bad. Women, in as much as these things actually happen to us, it doesn't mean we should not take advantage of that to paint against innocent people. You see them using it against bigger people, pastors, different persons, celebrities, public figures. No, it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't abuse that and say, okay, yes, because I want to undo this particular person, and then you now take advantage of that situation. No.
A little hint that you just gave concerning what happened at the plenary yesterday at the Green Chamber of the National Assembly, talking about the House of Reps, when they were trying to see the most suitable punishment for rape, and somebody actually prayed for castration. And I think Nigerians are kind of happy with the lawmakers by looking at the whole situation in a very holistic manner, because the way
they're actually jumping into it so fast.
The leader of the house was actually talking about, okay, if we are seeing castration for the male people who indulge in rape, what would be the equal punishment for females who actually rape a younger male?
Yes.
So it was subjected to a vote, and then the nay had it yesterday. So I think the castration is not working, but I like the fact that the lawmakers are actually waking up to frown at this very strongly.
Very fast and strongly.
Yeah, because
it didn't even take up to a week, and I'm happy about that progress so far.
Honestly. Okay, away from that, let's still take a look at the budget adjustment that were made, and Nigerians actually been reacting and frowning to some of the adjustments that have actually been made.
Yes, for education sector and health.
That were cut and slashed. It's not actually sitting well with
ordinarily, one would try to understand why education should be cut down now, or why health. Is it the same health that we are battling with? The health that they
weak
want,
nature of it has been exposed by the
it's what they still want to
coronavirus.
now cut short again. The education, we are not opening schools now because of what's happening, because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
They're talking about e-learning. Now, if e-learning, should it be now that the budget should still be cut short? We have government schools that those children don't have access to internet, do not have tabs, do not have phones. In fact, we should be talking about when the renovation of National Assembly, it was cut from 47 billion to 27 billion.
After a series of criticism,
now, as of yesterday, 9 billion. So now you see this renovation of National, I would have even loved to see a situation where it is even suspended for now, and take that budget and put into the necessary channels, which is the education and the health, because we're seeing the ugly side of our health sector in Nigeria now. We're seeing the ugly side of the educational sector in Nigeria now. So we want to see something that is what you can't be telling us that they because of what?
You know, when you were talking about the educational sector, and you made mention of the e-learning, recall that the e-learning was not actually projected from the beginning when the budget was submitted. So if we are talking about the e-learning, that means we need to add money. We need to add money to it to accommodate the e-learning side of it. But ordinary Nigerians, maybe the people that are in charge of the budget planning, were looking at it from the angle of, okay, initially we don't used to get this amount or this sum allocated to education and health. So if we can have this much, and then something happened, maybe because of the dwindling prices of oil, they have to reduce it. They're now saying that even though it's being reduced, but it's still way above what it used to be in the past. But Nigerians are actually seeing that, okay, it's all about priorities at the moment.
Yes.
Before we get to slashing of educational budget and health budget from the health sector, let's see that we do away with every other sector that might not be
really
pressing
at the moment. Renovation of, is it not the same National Assembly that when at the peak of, like when coronavirus was really very serious in Nigeria, they had to take a break off being in the National Assembly?
True.
So now this same National Assembly, do you want to tell me that they cannot do without the renovation for the meanwhile that the country is facing a very big pandemic?
We are not saying that the comfort of our lawmakers is not important.
No,
it's very, very important because they need to sit down and legislate on some of those things that borders on the citizens of the country. But for the moment, let's set our priorities right.
You hear that? Let's set our priorities right, Nigeria. Let's set our priorities right, our fellow government. Anyway, let's go to the news desk and hear from Susan what she has for us from Nigeria, Africa, and across the world.
There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these is an effective treatment for coronavirus. Do not self-medicate and take responsibility by sharing only verified messages from health authorities such as NCDC, Federal Ministry of Health and WHO.
Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. Meghan Markle has paid a moving tribute to George Floyd, the unarmed black man whose death in police custody sparked nationwide protest as she reflected on her own memories of racism when growing up in Los Angeles. The wife of Prince Harry admitted she had been nervous to break her silence on the demonstration sweeping the United States, but said in a video message she realized the only wrong thing to say is to say nothing. George Floyd's life mattered, said Markle, whose mother is black, before listing the names of other African Americans killed by the police and expressing support for the Black Lives Matter movement. In the video, Markle described the scenes in Los Angeles as devastating. COVID-19 cases in Nigeria increased further on Thursday, with 350 cases reported by the country, even as the nation intensifies efforts to flatten the curve of the pandemic. The new cases were confirmed by the specialist agency, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, on Twitter. This takes the country's total infections to 11,516, out of which 3,535 have been discharged, with 323 losing their lives. Data from the NCDC showed that the cases were spread across 19 states and the FCT, with Lagos accounting for the day, with 102 cases. The FCT Minister Malam Muhammad Musabello on Wednesday, June 3, 2020, chaired a meeting of the FCT administration and leadership of the FCT Christian Association of Nigeria and League of FCT Imams Initiative to review the guidelines issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, particularly as they concern places of worship. While reviewing the guidelines, the meeting received briefings from the FCT COVID-19 Emergency Response Team on the situation of the pandemic in the FCT. The report of the committee set up by the Honorable Minister on May 19, 2020 to draw up protocols to be adopted for possible reopening of places of worship was equally received at the meeting. After extensive deliberations, the meeting agreed to adopt the guidelines as released by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 with regards to the reopening of places of worship in the FCT under the second phase of the ease of lockdown for the next 4 weeks. Similarly, the Lagos State government has reviewed some of the protocols being used to curb the spread of coronavirus in the state. Addressing a press conference on Thursday at the Government House in Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu announced that the government will be relaxing the measures in the coming days. He explained that this included the approval to reopen religious centers in the next 2 weeks, although it would come with some conditions. He added that from 14 days' time, precisely from June 19, mosques will be open, while churches will reopen from June 21, stating the places of worship with large crowds must not exceed 500 during a service. Now, the Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 has affirmed that the World Health Organization has resumed its use of hydroxychloroquine in the fight against COVID-19. This was confirmed by the chairman of the Committee of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, during the PTF's briefing yesterday. The PTF chairman warned, however, that Nigerians must desist from rushing to buy the drug in the bid to self-medicate. The Defense Headquarters says troops of the Nigerian Army have killed 392 bandits in the northwestern part of the country. The Coordinated Defense Media Operations Major General John Enenche disclosed this on Thursday during a press conference in Abuja, the nation's capital. Enenche also reiterated his call to members of the public to be proactive in providing timely information by reporting suspicious movements and strangers within their locality to troops stationed in their areas. According to the defense spokesman, timely information is very necessary for the enhancement of operational activities of the nation's armed forces. The House of Representatives has voted against a prayer seeking to recommend castration as punishment for rapists. The House of the Plenary on Thursday rejected the motion, which was earlier recommended by a member, Mr. James Faleke, who had recommended that persons found guilty of rape should be castrated. We now move on to the entertainment scene, where DMW artist Peruzzi Vibes has issued an official statement following allegations of rape leveled against him. The singer refuted the claim that he has ever abused anyone sexually, categorically stating that the claim leveled against him was false. According to him, rape is a heinous act and he does not condone it in any manner. The singer, however, took complete responsibility for some of his old tweets that surfaced on social media in which he had endorsed sexual abuse and tagged himself a perpetrator. Peruzzi noted that the posts shared 8 years ago do not reflect the kind of person at the moment that he is. He said he was younger at the time and did not have a full understanding of the implications of his tweets. Well, that's social media for you. You put it out there and it comes right back to haunt you. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Susan.
morning,
Good morning.
Elvis. Good morning, Elvis. I said that twice. You know what? For yesterday and for today.
Wow.
Under the weather. Under the
No, he's
weather.
above the weather now. The weather got nothing on him.
100% above the weather.
Yeah, well,
I can see that you're all looking all glam on
Yes.
It's a welcome party. Welcome
For
you.
myself, right?
Yes.
What is the organization resuming the use of hydroxychloroquine
Hydroxychloroquine.
For treatment of COVID-19?
And my question is why?
What happened?
Like,
Because
I was
it
actually-
has not been long that
Yes, they came out to say no.
When you were giving us the news, I was actually having this thought in my mind that we should not become out of desperation use what has actually have been having some questions mark on it already. And if we are seeing this as maybe as a result of what the U.S. president has actually done to the World Health Organization, where he asked them to be proactive and then speed up to that action on how to find cure to COVID-19. We should not still do that maybe out of desperation. Let's see that this does not have any side effects.
Yes, because I have a problem with this issue of hydroxychloroquine because there has been there seems to be a back and forth about this particular drug. At first, people started self-medicating. They found out on their own that it was working for them.
Some people even died of using it.
Okay.
Like overdose.
Yeah, overdose.
Yes, because they were so desperate,
desperate.
to use it to get cure and all that. And then they now came out to say, okay, there should be a hold. We should put a hold on that. Stop using it because it wasn't trusted and hadn't. They hadn't recommended it. The WHO hadn't recommended it for the entire world because they felt like they were not sure. Now, very very recently, the WHO boss came out again to say that we should put a hold on it, and not so long again they are saying it can be used, but do not self-medicate. So are you saying people should not self-medicate, but when they go to treatment centers, they could be administered, that drug? Is that what we're saying?
Because what happened was that the first time they came out to say there should be a hold on the use of chloroquine, they actually brought out some valid points. They said people with underlying illnesses, it would not be favorable for their health and can
because
lead
we
to
know how
their death.
strong
Can trigger. Mostly those with heart
is.
diseases, they can't use it. So now if the WHO, after saying that, all of that, is saying this again, How do we really...
So are we now saying that...
Or does that mean if someone is being treated for coronavirus, he will be checked for some underlying health...
Before they
probably,
use it?
okay, that's why they're saying do not self-medicate, because when you self-medicate, you do not follow procedures, you just go on to use it however you deem fit. But when it's administered to you by, a specialist, a healthcare center, or, maybe a doctor or something, they would know if it is appropriate for your own immune system, if you have an underlying...
Or probably they're going to revisit the composition, or they have revisited the composition. What needs to be reduced, what needs to be added, and what...
Okay, in that same regard, nothing has been heard about the COVID organics from Madagascar recently.
Yes.
It's one thing that we've seen that several claims attached to it for healing or curing COVID-19.
Because we got very, very, very worrisome silence. They said this drug has been pushed to Nigeria. It came to Nigeria, NAFDAC undergoing trials for it, the medical trials, and then we heard that once we are done with these trials, we let Nigerians know what the outcome is. Till this very moment, it looks like something that has been swept under the carpet.
Funny enough, we haven't even heard anything from President Angelina, because he has gone silent. The last we heard of him was him coming out to say that he was on a call with the WHO boss, who had given him approval and said, okay, they are standing by him and they will go through trials and see how this vaccine can be of use to the world. But shortly after that, there was complete silence, and right now we do not know what exactly is happening. So
because I think that the silence started from the first death that was recorded in Madagascar. Now, after that, I don't know if it came to your notice, there were some deaths that were happening in some of their communities. That probably, maybe there's not a full news out yet to confirm if it was COVID-19 related or not. But they had to send troops, doctors and medical team to those communities that were recording deaths on worrisome deaths. So we don't know. Ever since then, Madagascar has not been on the headlines.
And Nigerians are particularly worried because it was in the news that the COVID organics came to Nigeria.
Yes.
What has been updated?
What has been the update? Well, Nigerians, I think our government will address us.
We're speaking with them so that they can address
and even to Rajolina, the world wants to know what is
going on.
Yes.
People were actually interested. It brought some hope. Coming from the continent of Africa and all that, and then suddenly there's silence, and people really want to know what is going on.
People want to know. Nigerians want to know.
How people are being held accountable for what they post ignorantly or maybe...
It's very funny. That is why you have to be very cautious and careful, especially when it comes to public figures. There's no hiding when it comes to social media. The things that are posted, your children and generations unborn could still come and have access to it. So I'm imagining what he did. When it came out, he was denying it, and then someone went and revived.
He went to delete some of those tweets.
You see what I'm saying?
He really had to go that far. 8 years ago.
So now he has to come out to say, I didn't do this, I'm sorry. I would really wonder, no matter how young you are, I really wonder if something was wrong, upstairs for him to have come out to people.
He even faulted that I was younger then.
The official
how
statement.
Young can you be?
How young can you be?
The official statement he brought out around 20 or 22 years, so people actually been holding.
Really? So that's 22 or 23 years. Is really so young to not.
No, but the lady that came out he can be arrested though. He's an adult. He's way past the age of being arrested, so he's not a minor. So when he says he was young, what happened? Details, of the entire allegation. Says this is what happened. And
his only saving grace was the weakness that came out to the future. If not,
otherwise, somebody was saying that celebrities who have been accused of rape will not take it seriously until they begin to lose endorsement deals.
True.
And I hope that it doesn't get. Why am I saying that? I mean, it could get to that, but there are still allegations.
And this is like the second one.
There are so many celebrities, so many of them that have come out to say that they have been abused in one way or the other. But it's very good because these things help every other thing to come out, so
put everybody and everything on check.
Although the castration issue has been, I don't want to say that's the extreme, but
lots of people just
the
want
fact
to hear that castration.
I love the fact that word even came out in this time because it's something that
it shows how serious.
Yes. So that prospective rapists, I hope they are not anyone's like that, but prospective rapists can think castration, rape, they'll choose.
I'm telling you, the life imprisonment, they can just be there and, I don't know, probably one time when the government is trying to be in their favor or trying to be fine, and then, say, okay, those that have been in life imprisonment, they can go out, 500 inmates being released. Things like that can actually affect, but you see that castration, it's something they will not be able to grow past.
You're done for. I hope they are really learning from this, and I hope that this stops as soon.
All right.
Thank you very much, Susan.
It's always an amazing moment.
Always my pleasure. And happy Friday, guys.
TGIF.
We're now going on a quick break. Don't go away.
Coronavirus no be our friend, yo. Make we push am comot, yo. Corona, no be our friend, yo. Say make we push am comot, yo. My country people, you see this coronavirus, no be joke. Make we help ourselves and our government pursue this yamayama sickness from our country. Make we remember to wash our hand every time with soap and water. Make we not forget to sanitize our hand and wear face mask when we come out. Also, make we avoid crowd and keep social distancing when we come out. My people, if you see say you don't get symptoms, make you rush go hospital make them treat you. Coronavirus, no be our friend though. Make we remember say prevention better pass cure. No be our friend, yo. Make we push and come out, yo. Corona, no be our friend, yo. Say make we push and come out.
This is still Daybreak, Africa on Television Nigeria. If you just join us, welcome on board. And if you've been with us, many thanks for staying tuned. We now take you to our newspaper review segment where we take a look at some of the headlines making around different national dailies. And we have Victor Tehemba, who is always with us.
Yeah, good morning.
Really, good morning, Victor.
Yes, nice to be here this morning.
It's very nice to be here. So let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. Federal government threatens to ban church mosque gatherings again. Lagos approves church mosque reopening for June this month. That's for this month. That's on page 2 and 20 of the Punch newspaper. Below the picture template, police seek information on Barakat's killers. CP visits Uwiala's parents. Man 25 rapes Ogun septuagenarian in her sleep. Wow. Yeah. Beside that, we will miss Dad's wise counsel. That's from ex-governor Olumilua's son. Well, that's not my language. So, above the picture template, reps propose death sentence, castration, amputation for rapists. Myself and Elvis and Susan just finished deliberating on that. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Still beside that, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, second Niger Bridge, ready 2020. That's from Fashola. You can get that on page 22 of the Punch newspaper.
And that's very fantastic that the second Niger Bridge will be
ready in 2020.
Putting to rest the big elephant project that has got a lot of resources, billions of naira and dollars in Nigeria.
I think it's from the Abuja money. It's also coming into this.
Yeah, also coming. In fact, the Abuja, it was said that it was part of it was going to use to finance second Niger Bridge and also the Lagos
expressway.
Yeah, that too. Just a road of about 103 kilometers has taken years and
decades
and 3 different administrations.
True.
Before it can finally get to be completed, and that's very wonderful.
The way people make that sound.
It's just 103 kilometers.
I'm telling you, I don't understand. Anyway,
you don't understand. Alright, so and then moving on the fact that the federal government threatens to ban church gatherings again. There has been there has not been a consensus about the kind of
churches want to and must want
to really adhere to. But then in Lagos, they have actually found a way, and these Muslim faithfuls are going to resume mosque congregation on the 19th, and the Christians will resume church congregation on the 21st of June. So that also puts it to rest in Lagos State.
In Lagos State.
That is settled. And then for the case of a 25-year-old man raping a Nigerian.
Yes.
This case, like at this point, I just don't know, because it's like, for this, since this week started,
rapes.
We've never come across a paper that doesn't take in news about a
rape case
going on somewhere, and then a Nigerian, which means that she's over 70 years.
Yes.
So exactly. So this basically goes to fought the argument of people that say perhaps it is what some of these ladies wear, or how they look sexy, because I don't think a 70-year-old woman would be
trying to look sexy or all that
to reveal anything.
No.
So I think it's more of on the fault of the rapists psychologically, or whatever it is that is their
But at least she wasn't killed this time. If not, I would have started to start faulting what's going on with this raping and killing the victims.
Following the particular part. And let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper, and we have stories like FG to stimulate economy with $10 billion agri fund. That story can be found on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Experts accuse WHO of encouraging smoking to waste more lives. Still on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper, you can find that story. DPO 7 officers killed in Kogi State Bank robbery. We have that story on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And then reps declare emergency on rape, violence against women and others. Still on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And then we have the banner story, or the banner headline: unusual worship in Lagos State as mosque churches reopen June 19. Below the picture story: Nigeria may lose 24 councils to new UN state. All of that can be found on the Guardian newspaper.
So we just begin from the last story. Let the last be first. Yeah. So the new UN state, there has been sort of conflict going on in Cameroon between between the English-speaking part of Cameroon and the French-speaking part of Cameroon, and all of that. And then we've had cases of where there have been allegations of army killing people in the other parts of Cameroon that speak English, and then there have also been about self-less and determination that they want to entirely steal away from Cameroon and from their own state. So if you want to form their own state, you're also going to include Bakassi.
That was ceded to Cameroon.
Yeah, that was ceded
in 2003.
to Cameroon. So I think right now, to just find a permanent solution to it, so UN is trying to create these other areas, the English-speaking part of Cameroon, to be like a state under UN. So it's going to be kind of administered and set up by the UN and whatever. And I think it's a very good way of
settling the dispute.
Of settling the dispute, because the thing is, lives will continue to be lost from both sides. And the thing is this: I'm always very skeptical about when African warlords begin to take up arms against the states. And then this is always as a result of injustice, because I believe that in a society where there seems to be justice, regardless of people different religions or cultural backgrounds or tradition, whatever, they will still learn to coexist together, because they will feel like everybody's being treated equally. But where you have different people, and then there seems to be that sort of imbalance, people are going to surely take up arms against the state. And what I discover in Africa or anywhere else in the world is that they will keep on going as long as it is not their own lives being lost. We've seen from Congo down to Central African Republic to whatever you call it in this African,
sometimes
they use even child soldiers, even South Sudan of recent. It was the same thing. So I was very skeptical when they created South Sudan out of Sudan, and then it was the rebel warlords that later became president and vice president respectively, and it was really interesting to me that, really, I don't think anything good was going to come out of that country, because look at the people that are now leaders, and look at the way that they came about to be leaders, and that goes on. So I like the fact that in this situation, UN is actually stepping in to administer the state for just within a time frame, and then set things on properly. So it's fantastic.
Okay. So moving to the Nation newspaper: churches, mosque, hotels to open in Lagos June 19. Victor already reviewed that for us earlier on. Can 6 review of worship time to 90 minutes. That's away from the 1 hour that was stated by the PTF. Some of the conditions: centers to operate at 40% capacity. Kids 65 years and above disallowed. Midweek service vigils banned. face masks, sanitizers to be used. Schools reopening, rules coming. So for schools to reopen, the rules are coming soon. So we put that coming soon.
Just like a blockbuster movie.
Exactly, coming soon. Below the picture nameplate, Obaseki backtracks on exclusion of lawmakers elect. Above the nameplate, anger in House of Reps over rising insecurity. Yes, that's another worrisome issue. Beside that, government targets 5 million jobs with $1.2 billion scheme. So that's
okay. So talking about once again the last being the first, talking about, because I think the Guardian, when we spoke earlier, that the government was trying to inject about 10 billion naira agricultural fund to stimulate the economy. Very fantastic way to go. You know, this at this point in time, we need everything that we really sustain the economy and keep it going as it should be. But they're also looking at the fact that churches trying to review the guidelines and looking at the fact that you ban midweek service. Once again, apologies to those making these decisions or whatever, but I do not see the sense in that and whatever, because if people are going to congregate on Sunday, where you are expected to even have more people than not a lot of people go to midweek service. By the time you go to midweek service, you find out that sometimes it's just like half of the church.
Yes.
Or
very less than half of the church.
Because most people are at work, some close it, and then some people, when they close from work, they don't even have that strength to say we want to go to church. So
yes, it's true.
Sundays they make. So I don't think midweek service should even be something that you consider.
Because
the
if
basic thing should have been considered
day,
was to be make sure there is water to wash hands, there's hand sanitizers, and people are wearing their face masks, and then that should have been adequate enough for it. And then the House of Reps being angry about
over the rising
insecurity in the country. And then one of the insecurities we saw yesterday, we spoke about it. I mean, it was carried on the last paper. Robbery in Kogi, that the DPO and a bank, 7 others, about 8 others actually, and a bank was robbed. And then I saw videos and pictures coming out from that, and it was very gruesome. The audacity of these robbers to have carried out that act, it's mind blowing. And then I don't know, and to the fact that they didn't wait for the police to bring the fight to them,
they took a fight to the police
and conquered the police in their own territory. A very serious cause for concern.
Something is happening.
Truly. Okay, let's take a quick look at the Daily Sun and see headlines we have from the Daily Sun. At the banner headline here, still talking about a robbery incident in Kogi with a caption: DPO, 7 policemen killed in Kogi bank robbery, civilian also murdered. Beside the picture, the nameplate rather, Lagos bars children early from churches and mosques. And then we have, don't allow repeat of Zamfara experience in Edo. Yari wants Oshomole Obaseki. That story is on the page 7 of the Daily Sun. And that's a very good counsel and timely counsel coming from Yari. You know, Yari is a first-hand witness of what happened, including even Oshomole. And I think Oshomole should understand this. It has happened twice to the APC under his leadership in the River State and also in Zamfara. The same sort of thoughts. And in Zamfara, it was even more or less a confrontation between the governor and the national chairman. That the same statement that Obaseki actually made, that if Oshomole keeps trying to undermine him, it's going to show Oshomole that he's the governor of Edo State. The same thing Yari said. Yari said, if Oshomole thinks he has the audacity, he should come again to Zamfara State and he will show him pepper. And at the end of the day, we saw that they were not eligible. And then at the end of the day, you had different factions, and this is what that's why the last time we were on a particular platform together. I was saying that either ways, now they are dangling on the very thing that they can fall off at any time. APC in general is at the losing side. It's always at the losing side, whatever it is. So unless they just learn to shoot their swords and come together to say, let's do it for the sake of the party, right? Let us just have it this way, that okay, for the fact that maybe you're a governor, you have the right of first refusal, so no problem, you can contest, and if you get to win the primary, then go. But in the event that you lose the primaries, can you just please stay within the party and let us go ahead? Because by the time you have 2 different factions in the state, 2 different factions are going to hold less than primary elections, then in that case, these 2 same factions will now go to court. Before you know, before the whole this and whatever. So it's better. And at the end of the day, if the court judge, I judge that there were no this in primaries held in the state, it means that whatever process they go have been less than null and void. Then it's just a
on the platter of gold for
Other
PDP.
parties.
Yeah. So just like what happened in Zamfara, what happened in Rivers.
True.
Going forward.
Okay. Let's take a look at this Daily Times newspaper. The main headline here: decentralized COVID-19 response to local government level. Below that, expresses concern over refusal by patients to stay in isolation. Confirms resumption of use of hydroxychloroquine in treatment of COVID-19. And CDC releases new guidelines on COVID-19 patients' treatment and discharge. Beside the picture, nameplate: Akwa Ibom Assembly makes e-learning training mandatory for teachers. FCTA adopts PTF guidelines on reopening of worship places. Boko Haram drivers offer free rides to returning residents of Auno. Still below that, COVID-19, Kano to commence house-to-house sample collection. Fantastic from Kano State.
And they're also looking at the fact that in Borno also drivers giving free ride to residents who had fled away from the Boko Haram attacks.
Yes.
But now that the area has been safe and secure by the Nigerian army, so they're basically coming back, and then they're looking like, oh, we have been away, so we could just give you a free ride. This is the sort of spirit that really moves me, that really gladdens my heart.
Free ride?
No, not free ride. No, they were doing it in the spirit of oneness.
Yes.
Less than compassion
Unity.
for one another, unity. You might say that too, for one another, and that is what I exactly love to see. I even really hate to see the bickering between people or whatever in the country.
Yes.
And then we also move on this in PTF asking the governors to decentralize COVID-19
response to local government level.
I don't know if they themselves are actually doing that as well.
Yes.
Then at the federal level, are they decentralizing to the state level before they now asking the state level to decentralize
to the local government level?
Because it's like nobody can treat COVID-19 patient except. But anyway, they say response, not exactly treatment. So, and again, it's actually a very good suggestion, because the local government level is nearer to the people, closer to the people. This is people that can get to the people quickly, faster.
So it will enhance the whole process.
Exactly.
Okay, let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune, which happens to be the last paper I have here. I know Messi actually has one more to go.
Yes.
And then some of the stories have actually been taken from other publications. So we're just turning the power as Senate probes 1.8 trillion naira power intervention fund. That story is on the page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And then still concerning that, we have CBN, Ministry of Finance, Presidential Power Initiative, TC and others to appear.
Oh, definitely. So we keep probing the funding in the power sector. At a point in time during the days of President Obasanjo, we were probing $16 billion. We haven't found answers for that, or if answers were found, but we don't know. The public don't yet know what happened. So for us, the public, we know that at a point in time, 16 billion was supposed to have been infused in the power sector, and then we didn't see anything, and we didn't also see the money as well. So now, again, the Senate are trying to probe 1.8 trillion naira intervention fund in the power sector. And the federal government keeps putting money into the power sector, despite the fact that you see that power sector has been less than deregularized, or rather less than privatized to private individuals and all of them. But still, we keep 1.8 trillion. We don't know how far that prop is going to go, and we don't know if we're going to, if they are going to get answers, and if they eventually get answers, we don't know if we're going to see
is going to be
well of the answers. But then that has also been a very big challenge. Of recent, the less than Siemens, the German company that's supposed to help improve the electricity in Nigeria, actually come out that they are about to start, and I read their electricity roadmap for Nigeria, and it seems quite.
That's Siemens, right?
Yeah, Siemens. Yeah, and it was quite impressive. In fact, especially to the fact that those measures that they are taking to really, in the short term, make sure that they improve capacity.
Yes.
Because right now they are basically looking at the fact that we are basically looking at we are using 3.7 gigawatts of electricity. So they're looking at how they can improve it within the short period of 3 to 6 months to 7 gigawatts. And that's actually impressive, and I saw that it's something that is doable. If they get the necessary support, and if they are actually sincere about it, about doing it, then they can bring it. And then the medium term and the long term this project as well as something very good that if the government also are serious and the company too are serious, we have siphoning money, then it will be done. We'll settle this power sector thing for good.
Nigerians have actually been so concerned about the distribution as well, the transmission and distribution, because as for generation, we actually have it up to some extent.
4,000. 4,700.
4,000 to 7,000, but it's all about the distribution now and the transmission. So I don't know if you come across.
Definitely. Okay. They had, in fact, in the short term, to boost this electricity, whatever, they were looking at how they were going to boost the power in the substations. They are going to carry out trainings and whatever. So they are also going to help assist the discos in the distribution, increase their capacity to distribute power. So at that point, it means that for the fact that we generate about 7 or thereabout, but then we are consuming about 3.7. So they want to increase the consumption, not yet the generation at the moment.
Yeah, for the consumption
to about that 7, so that it will match what we basically generate.
Well, in as much as the talk of the electricity distribution in Nigeria is really very catchy to the ear, we love to see a situation where it's actually going to happen.
There's going to be a revolution if we begin to, the fact is, from what I understand about Nigeria, we don't even need 24 hours electricity for us to even get that revolution that we're looking for.
True.
If people are guaranteed of at least 20 hours of electricity in a day,
it's very
what
fair.
you are going to see in Nigeria will be amazing.
True.
It will actually help lost. Okay, final newspaper for the day, Business Day newspaper. SMEs face nightmares on persisting interstate lockdown. Beside the picture nameplate, Edoguba Obaseki assures residents of adequate security before, during and after election. That's on page 2 of the Business Day newspaper. Below that, COVID-19 patients can now be discharged between 10 to 14 days. That's coming from the NCDC, and that's, you can get that on page 29 of the Business Day newspaper. And I'll take this finally. Mosque to reopen June 19 in Lagos. Churches June 21. Level 13, 14 workers to resume Monday. Registration of religious social centers begins ahead reopening. Well, all of that, you can get all of that on the Business Day newspaper this morning. All right, so that's all we have today for the newspaper review. Thank you, Victor Tahamba, for gracing the stage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
All right, that's been newspaper review. You're still with us. If you're still with us, this is still Daybreak Africa here on Television Nigeria. Let's go on a break now, and we'll be right back.
still watching Daybreak Africa on television in Nigeria. Some wise African sayings are right there. I don't know if you actually take a look at anyone to just see. But let's leave that for the moment because I know you have so many African wise sayings that you can actually give if I ask you.
Yes, if you ask me.
But I'm not asking you.
Don't ask me. All right, let's launch Truth Creed on women and men who lie more. Okay, let's hear what we've said.
My name is Gloria. Between guys and ladies, who lie more? Well, both parties lie, but personally, I think guys lie more because, you know, women are soft-hearted. Most times they tend to tell the truth later on. So I think guys lie more. Guys, sometimes they are not considerate. You understand? So for me personally, I don't know for other people, I think guys lie more than ladies.
A relationship between men and women, you know, it depends. So I can't tell you it's the men or the women because in some situation you see that men lie, women lie. But generally, when you look at circumstances, the expectation, because in Africa, women expect the men to provide everything for them when you're in a relationship with them. And when you don't have all those resources, sometimes you lie. Lie is just a kind of excuse, to just let that one pass. So if you look at statistics and our own party, I will tell you that the men lie most. You understand? Because I'm a guy, I have friends. There are some certain things where they are over demanding. Will you do this? Send me this, give me that. Will you do? You just say yes, even when you know you don't have the ability at that moment. But you just lie. So I think men lie most.
Between guys and ladies, who do you think that lie more?
Ladies.
Why do you say ladies?
Because there are some things you would like to keep your guy away from, so that he will not know and you just continue with your life.
So, between guys and ladies, who lie more in relationship?
I can't tell. Everyone lies.
Who lie more here now?
Everyone does. It depends on your individual perspective, so you can't just sideline one and gender.
But to you now, who do you think that lie more? That's what we want to find out now. To you, because all of them lie, but we see one who lie more. Now we want to find out from you. Who do you think?
I can't tell you this is a particular gender that lies more. I only tell you they both lies. That's just it.
It's ladies, so.
Why do you say ladies?
It's ladies. You might be doing a girlfriend elsewhere. Then that same lady will be telling you, so person that do come to see me is my uncle, is my brother. It's a lie. There's something behind.
Have your girl let you before?
I heard now.
So when you got...
That's why I'm telling you this.
Wow. Can you tell us more brief?
In fact, it's a very long story. But meanwhile, there was a lady I date. So meanwhile, one day I came to across them sitting together. I asked, who is this person? He's telling me our brother. When I asked the other guy, the guy is telling me a different story. Say this girl is the person he wanted to marry. Okay. When everybody are apart now, I now asked the lady again to repeat herself. Different story.
Everything out.
So I let her push it the girl.
In the end, she didn't call you?
No. Don't forget about her.
Okay, now
that's how I end up with.
Okay, now is lady lie more.
That's why I say ladies lie more.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Who tell lie more?
The guys.
Why the guys?
You know, some guys, they can promise a lady that, okay, this is all I will do. Though first of all, they come with their sweet mouth. Okay, they say they have this, why they don't have. They have that, why they don't have. Some of them can even borrow a car. Because they know that if some lady, they see a car, oh wow, she has a car. And after everything, you discover that they are not the owner of the car. So deceiving a lady, instead of coming to a lady with the truth and the real thing that is in your mind. So guys tell lies, mostly to me, that's what I know.
It's men.
What do you say men?
Yes, because men can lie. They can deceive women now. You understand? They can talk to me and say, I have this, so I have that. I have house, I have car, and they don't have anything. They just deceive women. So that deceive. If not lie, not men. If you talk for lie, then men, they lie pass.
You feel them tell me one lie, men don't tell you before.
Yes.
One, tell me one.
Yes. Men go fit deceive women now.
When I tell you, when I say one.
They never deceive me, but I see people that they deceive.
Okay. Can you tell me any lie? Man that don't tell you before. One.
Woman.
Man don't tell you lie before.
Yes.
What is the lie?
Man say I bought car. It's not in own car. He say it's in car. You marry that woman with lie.
So what happened now?
After when they do the wedding now, when the woman come discover say you don't have house, you don't have the car, marriage can't disappear.
No, I have not.
Thank you, sir.
The guys.
Why you say the guys?
Because I don't know, there's a spirit. They're not faithful. Number one. And I don't know, if a girl should love, it's her heart. But guys, they get tempted when they see another girl. They get distracted.
Have you told lie before?
Kinda, yes. I have.
Okay. Can you tell me one of the lies you tell and you were caught in the end?
I wasn't caught, sha.
You weren't caught?
Yes.
Okay, tell me one of it. Don't tell me one of it.
Okay, changing name, like maybe somebody's calling me and it's a guy. If he just asks me who is that, I'll say my friend. I can say it's a girl. I will not mention the guy's name.
I would say that men, the guys tell lies more than the ladies.
Why do you say the guys?
You know, if you take like statistics of men that know God and the ones that that does not know God, I think the people that know God are few and they are less. So in terms of that, men, they don't even see lie as a big deal. They tell it anywhere, anyhow, just to cover themselves up.
Street cred right there on who people think lies are the most or lie more between men and women. And you just heard from Nigerians. We actually have some comments here talking about different people they consider who lied the most. Like we have a comment here from Goodness Peter. He said ladies. Julia said ladies too. And then Chidima Dominic is saying men. Then Julia has come back again to say both do lie though.
Wow, both do lie. Both do lie. Well, in my own opinion, I would say ladies lie the most.
Why?
I don't know. I think ladies have a way of, there's this cloud of innocence around women. So most of the times, what they're saying is quite believable. Because you won't, even if it's a lie, you actually won't, because you don't see it happening that she would actually lie because she's a woman. You understand? So you won't think she's lying, but she's actually lying to you. But unlike the men, it's something that is normal for them to lie. So most of the times, nobody even taking it personal. But it's very funny because it's the women that lie the most. I really don't know how to explain it very well, but I really think women lie the most.
Well, me, I feel men actually lie the most too.
I don't think we should be arguing about this right now. Women lie the most.
Now, there's a comment you were trying to show me earlier about somebody supporting the castration of rapists. I
support the physical castration of rapists. This is coming from Comrade Mark Adebayo.
In as much as I wouldn't want to pitch my tent with either side, but I'm always an advocate of capital punishment for sex offenders. Yes. But I think there was a question that the leader of House of Reps, actually the speaker, asked yesterday before he subjected that prayer that was said. I can't imagine to a voice vote. It as a prayer. That's what they call it at the plenary. Okay. So when he subjected before he subjected it to a voice vote, he was talking about what should be like the matching offense for females who rape younger male. Maybe until we can come out with something we feel is actually balanced enough. We can say if that should be something we could work on.
Let me take this comment from Gabriel Kelvin Chooks. Please, what happened to the vaccines federal government brought from Madagascar? This is from Gabriel Kelvin Chooks.
We actually talked about that earlier on.
We talked about that with Susan. We're actually saying that I think the government that needs to come out to address Nigeria. What happened to the COVID organic cure that came from Madagascar? Is the trial not yet done or overdue? So we really want to know what's happening there.
Okay. That is the much we can take on Daybreak Africa for this morning. It's actually a weekend. I had wanted to say we're going to be here tomorrow, but unfortunately, weekends, we just do something else in the morning.
Just till Monday, and you see us again.
All right, thank you so much for being part of the program. My name is Elvis Ogadu. Have yourself a lovely weekend.
Yes, and my name is Mercy Joe. I know it's TGIF, but let's be very cautious about it. You can TGIF in your house, in your living room. Put on some good music, listen to it with your family at home, and be safe. Make sure to be safe. So we'll be leaving you with
Amazing Africa.
Amazing Africa on the land of no man.
Amongst the Samburu tribes of northern Kenya, where the desert merges with the foothills of Mount Kenya, women have been living under a harsh patriarchal system for as long as they can remember. Female genital mutilation has been one of the most important rituals amongst the Samburu for generations. Once circumcised, a girl can be given away in an arranged marriage to start her own family. This practice has seen girls as young as old enough to be their grandfathers. 25 years ago, a group of fed-up women led an exodus and took matters into their own hands to free themselves and started a movement in the Samburu region, creating the first village where no men were allowed. The establishment of Abuja was an inspiration to many women in neighbouring villages who have risen up to take control of their local governments. We are on our way to the Abuja village, which is an all-female village which started in 1990 by a woman called Rebecca. Rebecca Lola Soli is the matriarch of the Abuja Women's Village and an advocate for women's rights. Growing up as a member of the SAB, she married at the age of 18 and began speaking up about helping women who were victims of rape by British soldiers training near her home. Local men, angered by her vocalism, beat her until she was hospitalised. When her husband did not protest the beatings, she left him, and along with several other women who were survivors of violence, established the Women's Village of Abuja. What was once solely a safe haven for women has now become a globally known example of a successful matriarchy. The internet has put Abuja firmly on the map, and now people travel far and wide to come and see how the land of no men thrives in the region of Samburu.
How the house look like.
Ah, nice.
This is now the big bedroom. That's the small bedroom. It's the kitchen. And this is our sitting room.
Amazing. It smells so good. And to the women do all the renovations and build all the houses.
Build all the houses. Let me just tell you how we started. As a Samburu woman, you have no right. If the husband wants to kill you, he have a right to kill you anytime. Because you are like a property. And in the Samburu culture, have you ever heard of a woman village? So they say we have to destroy this village. We say we are not going to move. Let them kill us and make a story of killing all of the women in this village. We decided to do small business, selling our jewelry on the road. When tourists are passing, we welcome them and they buy our things when we are here. When we started selling, we found the men beat the women and they take away the money.
Do you think the men felt threatened by women being able to make their own money?
They do.
With the ability to generate income, the women of Abuja have found independence.
So every morning we have to come and display our things. This is what we depend on. This is our living. We have said, what can we do with this money? So we decided to start a school. Taza, go to